Okay, let us begin. A very good afternoon, everyone. Google Developer Student Club of Bharati Vidyapeeth College of Engineering, Navi Mumbai welcomes you all present here in this second event of cybersecurity. I am Mayuresh Kulkarni, founder and lead of this Google chapter, and will be one of the hosts along with technical team 2. Today is the second of the events, that is Ready Set Hack. Today we will introduce and demonstrate two of the basic facets of ethical hacking: reconnaissance, that is information gathering for the ethical hacker, and scanning and enumeration. This will be demonstrated with Nmap and Wireshark. I hope you all have registered for this event through the GDSC event platform. Those who have not registered, please do it because we will use the RSVP list and the feedback form that I will be sharing in a few minutes for distributing certificates on behalf of Google. Those who have not registered, please do it. I am putting the link in the chat. Please use this link for registering. Those who have a developer profile, you just have to click RSVP and submit. Those who have not, you have to create a developer's profile and then go back to the link and RSVP. That's just a 30-second step. Okay, so now I will hand over to Samip Hegde. He is the speaker for today. Samip is a member of GDSC and is currently handling the cybersecurity domain along with Swastik Patnaik. We saw him yesterday in the day one of our event. They both are from technical team 2. Samip is an incoming software engineer at GEP and a final year student of computer engineering from our college. We are very happy to have you here, Samip, and wish you best of luck for the event. Over to you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Mayuresh. Good afternoon, everyone. First of all, thank you for being here today. My name is Samit Hegre, and I'm a Google Developer Student Club's technical team team member, a dancer, a learner, a cybersecurity enthusiast, and of course, a final year computer engineering student. So I'll be taking over today's session, and also you might be wondering what today's session is going to be about. Well, it's just the way the name suggests: ready, set, and act. Let me tell you all, as I said, I'm a learner. So all the experiences that I've had when I started exploring this field will be reflected today. You'll learn from me and I'll learn from you. And then you'll be asking me some queries which I'm yet to be clear about. So it's a two-way process. Let's not sit back and just watch, get an idea, and just go for it. Watch, learn, and implement. Okay. Is my screen visible?
Yep.
Okay. So in today's session, we'll be introducing something called CTF, that is, capture the flag. Some might have heard about it, and some may not. But the thing that I assure you is that you'll have a great experience. You'll get an exposure to something new, and your interest might definitely get inclined towards the cybersecurity domain. What we witnessed in the yesterday's session is the base of what you'll be witnessing now, but in a gamified version. So let's get started. So CTF, the capture the flag, is a kind of information security competition that challenges contestants to solve a variety of tasks ranging from scavenger hunt on Wikipedia to basic programming exercises to hacking your way into a server to steal data. Now, in these challenges, the contestant is usually asked to find a specific piece of text that may be hidden on the server or behind a web page. This goal is called the flag, and hence the name. Flags, the flags are basically using random strings, which you will be getting while you take over the systems, and you just need to submit that. We'll have a demonstration of that, and you will understand what the flag actually means. Like many competitions, the skill level of CTFs varies between the events. Now, some are targeted towards the professionals with experience operating on the cybersecurity teams. These typically offer a large cash reward and can be held at a specific physical location. Other events target the high school and college student range, sometimes offering monetary support for education to those that place highly in the competition. So the basic prerequisites of attempting a CTF challenge would be the basic knowledge of programming, the cryptography algorithms that you need to be aware of, the exploitation techniques, digital forensics, reverse engineering, Windows basics, all the things mentioned on the P2D. That's what you need to have a basic understanding about. And of course, the Linux distro basics. You need to learn how to enumerate through the Linux, and we'll be demonstrating that today. Okay, so let's get started. To track me now, where would you start these competitions with? Now there are two platforms that I'm fully aware about, and it is where I started my journey. The one is Strike Me. Now it is an online platform that teaches cybersecurity through short, gamified, real-world labs. We have content for both complete beginners and seasoned hackers, incorporating guides and challenges to cater for different learning styles. So basically, it is an online learning platform where you could actually get started with a cybersecurity career. Now, in the similar way, Hack the Box. It's just basically an online platform allowing you to test one's penetration testing skills and exchange ideas and methodologies with other members of similar interests. It contains several challenges of different levels, and in that, you need to take over the systems, which is what we'll be doing today. Now, from both these websites, we'll be working on Drag Me. There are two rooms that we'll be going through. The one is basic pen testing, and the other is OSM. I'll walk you through the site later in this session. So the pen testing tools to be used today would be Hydra, Nmap, John the Ripper, and we'll be performing brute forcing, hash tracking, service enumeration, enumeration while we perform the basic pen testing room. And the other room would be OSINT, which is basically an open source intelligence, basically collecting and analyzing a particular individual's data. So what is Hydra? Now, Hydra is basically a pen testing tool. It is a parallelized login cracker that supports numerous protocols to attack. That is very fast and flexible, and new models are easy to add. Now, this tool makes it possible for the researchers and security consultants to show how easy it would be to gain unauthorized access to a system remotely. Now, you might be wondering why am I not actually giving you a practical representation of this? This is because we'll be implementing this while we perform the demonstration. I'll walk you through it. The next one would be Nmap. And Nmap is basically the a network mapper that has emerged as one of the most popular free network discovery tools on the market. Now, the program can be used to find live hosts on a network, perform port scanning, ping sweeps, voice detections, and version detection. Now, the various capabilities that Nmap includes would be network mapping, service discovery, security auditing, etc., etc. Now it can monitor single host as well as vast networks that encompasses hundreds of thousands of devices. So basically, it scans your networks and lets you know what devices, what services, what ports are running on your system. The next tool would be John the Ripper. Now, John the Ripper is a free password cracking software tool, originally developed for the Unix operating system, and it basically uses the dictionary method favored by the attackers as the easiest way to guess a password. It takes text string samples from a word list using common dictionary words or common passwords. It can also deal with encrypted passwords and address online and offline attacks. So, yeah, it basically run against the encrypted password formats, including several password hashes. So this particular software will be using to decode the hash and then to crack a password to get an SSH session to our remote computer, which will be demonstrated as well. Now, this is open source intelligence, which will be demonstrating on a completely new room, that is OSINT. Now, this OSINT is basically nothing but gathering information, analyzing a particular individual. Now, it is used in investigation phase to collect information about the possible targets. Now, the ocean tools are used, they basically use artificial intelligence features to find sensitive data around the web. The tactics used for ocean spycraft can be used for cybersecurity, which we'll be doing today. And the factors responsible to analyze those factors would be metadata search, code search, and understanding people's behavior, their phone number, email ID, anything related to their social media accounts, image analysis, and everything. Whatever you get on the internet would be a data to you. which is what basically the malicious hackers use to exploit a particular person or an organization. Now there are other pen testing tools. There are many pen testing tools, and I've mentioned few of those, which is Nessus. It is basically a scanning tool for the system. It scans all the vulnerabilities present on your system and makes you aware of it so that you can patch those. Metasploit is used to set the payloads and to exploit the system. Suite basically used for web enumeration. You can intercept the packets and then change the requests on it in it. Wireshark could be used for packet analysis, where it could capture the packets and alter it. The Hashcat is used for cracking the hashes, uh, cracking the hashes also to decode them. And AirCrackNG is used when you try to hack a Wi-Fi or something like that. So there are various tools that you can use to actually get
Can you
a
repeat the usage of Nessus and Metasploit?
Nessus is basically uh, a scanning tool which is used to scan the entire system, and it basically lists out the vulnerabilities present in your system. Okay, so it keeps a list, and so that you could go through it and patch. It also provides you with a solution. It's a vast, completely different domain. If I go particularly in it, so this is what it basically means. It is basically a software, but it's not pre-installed in Kali Linux. You will have to install that. And talking about Metasploit is basically a framework which you would use to find security issues, verify vulnerability mitigations, and manage security assessments. Now you use it to set the payloads and try to exploit the system with that. Yeah, it basically enables you to write, test, and execute exploit code.
Okay, thank you.
This reason I just wrapped up the PPT as soon as I possibly can, so that we could move on to the demonstration part. Now here's where the hacking part would begin. What This is what I talked about, the gamified version of hacking. Okay, so this is a Kali Linux operating system, which I'm running on the virtual box, and my host operating system is Windows. So yeah, I've already have an user account in this. I'll be logging through it. Okay. So talking about TrackMe, this is my TrackMe account, and this is basically basically the account where you could get started with your cybersecurity career. There are various rooms in it. You could go through it. It is basically spoon feeding, and you know there are very simpler things that you could explore in here. There are various modules that could walk you through the hacker's mentality. So in this particular platform, we'll be going through two rooms. That is the basic pen testing, and the other is OSN. Now let's just finish with the OSN, which is the open source intelligence, which I talked about. Before that, let me tell you how to connect the machines. Now here we have access machines, right? I'm not connected to that server. So for the first thing that I need to do is connect to the server. I've already downloaded the configuration file, which is yeah. Okay, when you go to the Access or OpenVPN, you'll get to download my configuration file. When you download it, you'll get is my terminal visible?
Yes, it is.
Okay. Okay. Now this is the file that I've just downloaded, Cyberpunk 16 VPN, and it is a VPN that is used to connect to the server. It's a TrackMe server. So the command to now you might actually get confused with the Linux commands. Some of you may know and some of you may not, but I'll just walk you through while I enter those commands. Now the sudo is used to gain the root access. Now if you don't use sudo, then you might not have access to actually connect to the server. Basically, sudo is super do. You could do anything with that command. All you need is the computer's password. So I'll be using sudo to get connect to the OpenVPN. OpenVPN is the command that you use to connect to the uh, OpenVPN, and the location is downloads cyberpunk.ovpn, and you'll be asked for a password, and it will just connect you to the server. So when this appears, initialization sequence completed, means you have successfully connected your connection to the tracking server. And now this cross mark will turn into the connected. Okay, now this indicates that you have connected to the server, and now we'll be downloading this download task file. When you download it, you'll get this. Now this is nothing but a .jpg file, which is an image. So let's see what that actually is. Now what I'm doing is, now this room is completely new to me. Okay, now this room is a task for me. They have asked various different questions in it, which I need to answer, and they have just provided me with one single .jpg file. Now with that particular .jpg file, I need to extract all those answers and complete the room. That is the task. That is what basically CTF means: accepting the challenges and basically trying to solve those. This is the .jpg file that I just downloaded from the server, the Riotness server. You have nothing but just a simple image. Now, what extra data could you find through this just single image is what I'll be showing you right now. Now, there's a tool called EXIF tool, which is basically used to list the metadata of the particular file, the particular image. So that particular tool you use to just list those. So when I enter the EXIF tool and and that particular file's name, which is Windows XP.jpg, which, and also I'm currently present in the downloads directory, so I don't need to go for the entire working directory address. Okay, so you'll get everything: EXIF tool version number, the file name, the file type, .jpeg, jpg, everything, and also you'll get who has the copyright for that particular image and stuff. Now what we have asked, what they have asked us to do is what is the user what is the user's avatar of. Now we need to find the user of that particular file, the owner of that particular image. Okay, is what the task is. For that, I've used EXIF tool, and from that I've got the copyright. First got the copyright, Wood Flint. So that's how you gather information. I've got a name, and that's enough, I guess. All you need to do is copy the username and just paste it on the. You just need to Google search it, and everything related to that particular name would appear. As you can see, I've got his Twitter, I've got his blogging website, I've got his GitHub. So that with that particular information, I've got three of his profiles from which you could collect further informations, and that's how OSN. Uh, that's what open source intelligence means. Now, what we have been asked to do is submit the user's avatar, and the you can clearly see the user's avatar, which is basically a cat. So this room is just a basic representation of the open source intelligence, but there are many things that can be done with this. What city is this person in? So you can try to go through the accounts that you got from the Google search, and you could actually find out what cities he actually lives in. So this is his GitHub. Okay. Now all we can do is find the I'm from London. I'm taking photos. Yeah, he has already mentioned his location. So that's what we find through such small details. Okay, I've got his location. Now, what's the SSID of the WAP he connected to? Now, if you see, he has mentioned in the Twitter Yeah, from my house I can get a free Wi-Fi, and he has also given us the BSS ID donuts. So in the CTF challenges, you will get hints to to solve those challenges. So this is basically a hint. They have provided us with the BSS ID. So all we need to do is what they have asked is the SSID. SSID is nothing but the name of your Wi-Fi. Okay, and BSSID is the MAC address present on your router, that particular router. So that there's a website called vehicle.net, and all these things you'll get to know when you actually try and sit on the Track Me website, or any other website. I would recommend you Track Me because it's much user friendly, and it's basically spoon feeding. So yeah, you can go with that. Hack the box, it's much advanced, I guess, for a beginning. So now Wiggle.net is nothing but a website where it keeps all the data of the wireless and free hotspots present around the world. So the two informations that we have is one, he lives in London, so I searched London, and the BSS ID that he provided us with. Okay, this is it. Might take a while. And what's the other information that we need to submit? Is what is his personal email address that we have already got here. Howard Flint. He has already mentioned us. So we don't need to enumerate through his, his social media accounts to get a hold of it. And what site? What else? What site did you find this in? Okay, we found this site in the GitHub. So these are the basic questions that will be asked and that you could actually answer and try to get the information. Yes, there's an issue. Okay, yeah. Now this purple circle is what basically the free Wi-Fi that we just enter the BSS ID. And this is the this is the free wireless network that Owood Flint is currently using. And you can clearly see the name of the SSID, that is Unilever Wi-Fi, and the BSS ID mentioned below it. So yeah, that's how you get, so now you know that he uses a Wi-Fi, a free Wi-Fi hotspot from some unprotected Wi-Fi. Where now now you have an advantage. You have a lead to, if you want to target that particular individual, where you could trace his paths with. You could use Wireshark. You could trace his packets to the also the Greg and G that I previously mentioned about. Just a second. Yeah.
Does Wireshark work to trace packets of a text, like someone
Sorry.
texted? Does Wireshark work to catch the packets of a text, and will it find the ISP of that person?
Wireshark is basically used to to I mean, I didn't understand your answer. Sorry, your question.
Like, if someone is texting me and I have switched on Wireshark, so Wireshark will catch the ping, but will it
No, no,
point out to the ISP that the person is using, like it's his public IP?
no. It basically it is a packet sniffer and analysis tool. It captures network traffic on the local networks.
Can you elaborate a bit?
It captures the network traffic from the Ethernet, Bluetooth wireless, and it is basically used to it is a communication protocol development tool used to uh, how could a practical demonstration would be much easy to explain rather than this. So let me get back to you regarding that. Okay. Let me complete this first. Where has he gone on holiday? Okay. Yeah, the question that we got. Yeah. So this is Oliver Wood Flint's blog. We got his entire name, his and he has clearly mentioned in here that I'm in New York right now. So yeah, so we could slightly guess the current location of that particular person. And also, what is this person's password? And it's a basic practice for you to whenever you try to search for something, when you conduct a pen testing, you try to search for the source code. Now this is a WordPress website which is completely developed by the user itself, so you could search for the source code, which is control U. This is the source code of the entire website, and when you go through it, okay. I'm in New York right now, so I'll update this site right away with new photos. Okay. Below that, you could see something gibberish written over here. Okay, and the style for that is color. The color given to that particular text is ash FFFF, which is basically the white color. So we can't see that. So when you select this, you'll get this is what you get. So basically, he's trying to hide his password in his blogging website itself. So that's what the answer is. So that completes our. Okay, just a second. Just a second. That completes our open source intelligence rooms. Now this was a very basic room that you could try to solve it yourself. I guess all you need to do is use the EXIF tool and try to gain access, try to gain the data of that particular person with just a Google search. All I did was that. Now coming to the basic pen testing part. Basic pen testing room is where things get a little spiced up and interesting. You understood what I did?
In the task before, OSINT,
Sorry.
you asked what you did in the task before, like what you did in OSINT room.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Did you understand what I did and what was the motive of doing that particular? I mean, how did I try
yeah,
the metadata and research went?
yes,
Okay. Yeah, yeah, yeah. We understood it. Now coming to the basic pen testing part. Now this particular room is we would be going through the brute forcing, the hash tracking, service enumeration, and Linux enumeration. Now I need to know before starting this. Do you have an idea? Uh, do you have any idea about the Linux basic commands?
yes,
Yeah. Have you worked on it?
yeah, the basic answers.
Okay, okay. Also, before moving on to the next room, do you have any doubts in the previous room, in the recent room? You have doubts as such.
What all can EXIF tool get you?
I just gave you the present. Just a second. It basically lists you the metadata of that particular file. Just the version number, the file name, file size, everything, the metadata. It basically lists you the metadata of the everything of that particular file, the GPS, latitude, reference number you put, where that photo was taken. I mean, all those stuffs. The copyright, the file permissions. Are you aware of what the file permissions?
Yeah,
Okay. So that's what it basically provides you with. And there are many other tools to you know enumerate to what do you say, extract information from a particular file, from a particular image, like StegGuide, like WinPoc file. There are many other things.
Is
So you
there a
could use
tool
that.
like StegHide which will hide a link to it?
Yeah, there's a tool called StegGuide that actually you know like, compresses your entire text into an image, and then also you can also extract text from that particular image as well using the tool. So there are many other tools that you could use, you know.
Oh,
Yes. Just a sec. Okay. Shall I move on to the next room?
yeah.
Okay. Sounds good. Sounds good. Okay. So here we have a machine. They have provided with uh, us with just a single IP address, from which we need to now that IP address is the IP address of a system which is remotely present in the TrackMe server, and we need to enumerate that and find the vulnerabilities and gain access to the system. That's what our basic task is, and that's what we are supposed to do in capture the flag competitions. And also, while we get our IP address in 30 seconds, if you want to practice as the competitions, and even want to know more about it, then you could there are websites called CTF, uh, CTF Time stuff, where you could explore. There are many competitions running uh, in it. You could participate it individually or in a group. So, so yeah. Okay, so coming to the questions, they have provided us with some questions which we need to submit them the answers of, and we have got our IP address as well. So the first thing that you do when you get an IP address, when you conduct a pen testing, is copy the IP address, enter it in your Google search engine, and press enter. As connection issue. Okay, now the site is up and running, and what we can say is undergoing maintenance. Please check back later. And as I said earlier, the first thing that you could do is check the source code of the page, and they have written something in the comments, which is check our development notes section if you need to know what to work on. Now they have mentioned a dev note. That means they could have provided us. Now these are the basic hints that you will get while you conduct the capture the flag competitions. I mean, when you participate in it, these are the basic things. Now they have provided us with a hint. So I guess there might be something directly called dev. No, but there isn't. So yeah, that's all you need to do. That you need to go for trial and error method. You won't get everything in a single go. Okay. So let's see what they have actually asked us for. Deploy the machine and connect your work done. Find the services exposed by the system. Okay. Now they are asked to find the services exposed by the system. And as I previously mentioned you about a tool called Nmap, which is used to to list the services present in that particular system, the services, the port numbers, and all the other basically the services running on the system. So that is what we will be doing right now, conducting an Nmap scan. Minus SC. When you conduct also, if you want to know about the options, you could go for Nmap minus H, which would basically list you all the options and the commands that I just and the options that I just mentioned. That is minus SV, minus SC. The minus SV is used to probe open ports to determine service version info. We would get the version info of that particular system. The minus SC keeps the script default, like it goes for the default scan and stuff like that. So the syntax to execute the nmap would be minus the nmaps command, then the minus scn minus sv, two different options that are mentioned in the command, and the IP address of our current system, which is this. It will take some time to scan the network, and until that,
How many
uh,
ports will that scan?
it
Like
would
all of the ports?
actually now this would basically scan all the ports, but you could also mention the number of ports in it, like with the minus p option. You could mention that I just want to scan the minus 80 the 80 port, or you could also provide them with the range as well. So it's completely on you. As I said, you could use the, if you want to know the usage of that particular tool, go for the minus h option. There you could get everything.
Okay.
Yeah, minus p, minus small p is the flag that you can use to specify the ports.
So without mentioning it, it will how many ports will it scan? All the 65,000 something ports.
Yeah, there's a particular number that it scans. I don't remember exactly how much ports, but I guess all the important ones, like the basic the port for HTTP is 80, and the for HTTPS is 443. All the basic ports, the starting, it has a particular range with it. The default ports basically.
Okay. Because once I scanned all the ports and it took like half an hour to go through all the ports.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So that is the reason that you need to, you know, do it, and also, if I guess it basically scans the first 1,000 ports. I guess.
Yeah, but
When
default it scans 1,000.
Yeah, yeah, default it scans basically first 1,000 ports. Yeah. Just a second. Okay, it's 65 or 66% done. Until then, we would go for the other questions that they have asked us to. Now, what is the name of the hidden directory on the web server? Now, there's a tool called GoBuster, which I haven't mentioned in the PPT, but yeah, there's a tool called GoBuster, which is used to enumerate through the websites, the URLs. It would basically fetch you the hidden files and hidden directories present in the system that are not accessible to the public. So the syntax for the same is GoBuster, and the dir is for the directory that you're searching for. Minus w stands for the word list, and this minus u stands for the URL that you have mentioned here. And this is your current IP address that you're targeting. You're targeting IP address. And this particular thing is nothing but a word list that you use to fetch the hidden directories on in your computer. And this you could get in your that you will get in your Kali operating system itself, like it's pre-installed. If you use the command uh, locate Dirbuster. Dirbuster is also a tool, but we'll be using GoBuster for this particular operation. Now this locates all the word lists, and I'm using this one. Yeah. So I'll be using this to basically fetch the hidden directories. When you scan, it will give me the uh, some of the hidden directories present in the system. Now with that, our nmap scan has been done, and if you see, we have found some open ports. That is 22, which is the standard for SSH. We have an open port for SSH. So we have an open port for 80, 139. If you see here, we have got two ports open. That is 139 and 445, which is for Samba. So there might be something there's a Samba system present in the network, so we could use that also to leverage, to get a hold of the system. And there are many other ports that basically tells you the version, the content type, etc., etc., which you could actually skip for now because we are actually in the beginning phase. Yeah. All the information that we needed was this SSH open port 22 and the 130 and 445 Samba open ports. That's all you need to keep in mind. And also with that, Go was to scan. It would scan about this amount of files, but we have already got the hidden directory that we are supposed to get. So just copy that and just a second. This is the this is the syntax basically to search for the directory, the URL, and from that we get two text files. Okay, now this was the hidden directory that we got. Now we have actually started your hacking, what you call, which is basically enumerating to the systems. You have actually started that, and you have got hold of that conversations, which is and if you go through it, you might get some information. I've been messing with struts stuff, so what you get to know is the use struts, and I think it might be use that. So yeah, they also mentioned at the version number. Now assembly has configured. Yeah, that is assembly. Okay. Now we get the when you get the version. Now there's something called exploit database, which is basically a database which keeps all the exploited vulnerabilities and the patch. It has a database where you could search the vulnerabilities and know how you could actually hack other systems with that. So I'll just put in the version name and yeah, Apache struts the same version name, and from that I know this system is vulnerable. And there's a lot more stuff to it, but I won't be getting into that. But all I know from this is that particular version is vulnerable. So yes, we'll see what we could do with that. And there's some other text as well. And there's two initials mentioned here. That is J and K. So another information that we get is there are two users in this particular system. The one starting with J and the other starting with K. We need to know their username as well. If and all in the future we need to get an access to it while we uh, try to enter the system with the SSH. Now, what we have got is I've been not in contents of etc shadow. Now, etc shadow is where you store where the Linux stores its passwords and stuff. Yeah. So this is basically the conversation between them, which is not of much use. So okay, the next thing that we could do, we could stop this because we have already got our answer. Okay. What else do they ask? Let's just submit the flag first. Are you all with me? Are you understanding what I'm doing?
Yes, yes.
Yeah. There are hints as well when you if you're stuck somewhere, you could go through it. When you actually try this particular thing by yourself. Okay, the next thing that we have asked to do is user brute forcing to find the username and password. Now we got to use brute force the system with the tool called Hydra. Now this is where I introduce Hydra. In the same manner, you could list out the applications of Hydra by just Passing the -h option, you could get the different options that will do different tasks that are assigned to two different tasks. Uh, okay, and that also provided you with the syntax. It's okay. Now that there's something that also let me mention. There's a word list called RockQ, which is basically famous for which has around 32 million passwords in it. So it basically uses uh, when we feed that particular word list into the tools such as Hydra to crack the passwords. It goes through various iterations. That is 32 million to crack the passwords. So I will be using RockQ now, which you could locate by just typing rockq.txt, and it would list you the location of that particular file. Okay, so I'll be using Hydra. Minus L is for minus L is for the just a second, just a second. Okay, minus L is for the username and minus W is for the word list. Now before going to the Hydra, I'm sorry. Okay, before using Hydra, we need to know for Hydra to brute force, we at least want the username of that particular system, some of the usernames. Now we just know the initials of it. That is J and K. So now from the charts that we have read and also with the Nmap scan, we know there's Samba, which is vulnerable. So we could use SMB client, which is basically used to talk to the server and you know uh, get or put get or put files or directories in it, which is basically a communication medium to the Samba server. Okay. We'll be using SMB client, and this is the syntax for it. And minus L, minus capital L flag is used for listing the share names of that particular Samba server. Now, all the commands that as I said, all the commands that I'm entering, some of you might know and some of you might not, but that's not a problem, because if even if you study the basic Linux, you would understand what I'm actually doing. So just stay with me and just understand what I'm doing. Understand the process. The minus n option is used to set the password to none. So I don't have any password for the Samba, so I would use nothing. So SMB client minus L. I've mentioned the current IP address. Yeah. Yes. Connection might have lost. Okay. Now we get the share name. There's a share name called anonymous. Now in FTP protocol as well as in Samba, we could use anonymous to get access to the system with this particular username. I'll be putting in the same command with just two changes in it. One, the share name that we just got, and we will also remove the minus L because we don't want to list the share names. We just want to enter into the system with the username that is anonymous. And with that, we are into the system. We have access to the Samba server, and when we list, ls is used to list the files in that particular directory. We get a file called staff.txt, and the command to get that that particular file into a host PC is get staff.txt, and you have it. That's it. You have no other use of Samba. Uh, if you see in your own computer, you'll have yeah, you have that staff.txt file. Now, when you cat is basically used to show you to read the file in Linux. The cat command. Now, what we have in it is an announcement to staff. Now, this is another uh, conversation between them that we have got hold of. Announcement to staff. Please hold. Please do not upload non-related. Okay, from this message, we just got the two usernames starting with the initial C and K. That is Jan and K. So now we have the initial, we have the usernames. All we need to find is the password that particular system. Because for you to SSH into a system, this is the format of SSH. To SSH into a system, SSH jan at the rate the IP address. This is the basic syntax for you to SSH into any system. If you have the private key, if there's two, as you might know, there's two keys to get into. There are two keys, that are private key and public key. If you have the key, you can use minus I flag to list the key. But in the current case, the current scenario, I don't have one, so I'll be using the standard format to SSH into a system. It's just this. But obviously, when I enter into this, they will ask me for a password which I don't have currently. So for that particular reason, we need to do we need to do we need to use Hydra to crack that. Okay. Now the syntax for the Hydra is this minus L. Minus L is used to specify the login name, that is Jan. Minus capital P is used to list the the dictionary or the word list that you provide to you know go through it. That you would be using to crack that particular uh, that to crack that to crack the password. I'm not in the current case. I'm not using the Rockube list because it basically contains 32 millions of passwords. So it might be a lot to scan through it, and it might take a lot of time. So I've created a custom password word list, which basically contains thousands of passwords in it, and let's actually use that. And this is the IP address of the target system, and this is the protocol that we are using. SSH minus T is threads. The minus T option is used for threads, and we have kept it for the reason of threads is basically when you try to brute force a particular system, uh, that we use it, what thread does is it basically appoints each special character, not special character. It appoints a particular individual character to one thread, and then it and that particular one thread goes on, trying to brute force the system with multiple possible scenarios, starting with that particular initial, starting with that particular character. So it will be divided into four parts, and more the threads, more the faster would be the execution time, and that is the reason I've used threads in it. But also you could ask me that why couldn't I use 10 or more than 10? The reason would be it would create more load on your system, and it may harm your computer as well. So let's just use flow. Okay, the question here is what is the username? We have already got the username, that is Jan. I've completed. Now password. What is the password? For the password, we are using Hydra to, you know, and we have already got the password. The 22 is the port number. SSH is the protocol. This is the host that we are trying to crack the password of. The login is Jan, and the password is Armando. Already got the password. Now we'll try to SSH into the system because we know that port 22, which is SSH, is open. So as I said, the syntax for Jan is this. You might face problems while doing this because the server is not consistent. Um, so at times the server goes down and the connection may lose out. And I've already lost my connection. Okay. And that is the reason it's taking so much time, or else it will have done easily. We have already got the password, that is Armando, so we can enter it here. What service do you use to access the server? Now obviously we are using SSH server, so we'll just mention that. Enumerate the machine to find any vectors for privilege escalation. Okay, we'll be doing that in while as soon as I get the server up and running. Yes, it should work now. Yeah, so it's working now. They have asked us to provide the authentication. Yes, now they're asking us they are prompting us for a password, and we already know that's Armando. Yeah, that's it. Now we are into the system. Now you have basically hacked into the system, hacked into the computer. I can see that you have the Chan username and the computer name, that is basic 2. I use the ls command to list the files in the directory, but I guess we have nothing. The cd command is used to change directory. If you use cd space double dot, uh, which is basically going back in the directory, and if you put cd, now I'm listing what show. I need to change the directory to K because we have nothing in Jan, so I need to change directory to K. So this is the command, the basic Linux command. Okay. In K we have a file called pass.baq, which is what we need, I guess. Which is what they have asked us to do. Uh, okay, they have also asked us the other username as well. K. Okay, now all we need to do is this is also done. Enumerate the machine to find any energy. Okay, this is also done. Okay, now all you need to do is get the final password. Now, which is basically you call the privilege escalation. Now, to do that, you need to know the uh, Linux distro basics. Now, if I try to cat the existing file that I have, guess it's I'm stuck or something. Let me try again. Yeah, the server is down again. So this problems like these may appear to you. I mean, you may come across these problems. This is back in the system.
Whether are you using the attack box of track
Sorry.
me? Are you using the attack box of track me?
The
Attack box of track me.
Okay, no, I'm not using the attack box of TrackMe. Yeah, also there's an option for you to use the attack box, which is basically the
How
virtual
are you
box.
using it then? Like, how did
I have,
you
I
get
have,
access to the?
I have a virtual box installed in my laptop itself, in which I have downloaded the uh, Kali Linux operating system, and I'm using it as my second like my second operating system in my computer itself, which is this. Might be knowing about VirtualBox. You can download it with
Yeah,
download it.
I know VirtualBox, but how are you accessing um, the that what that's called IP into your system?
I mean,
Yeah, this. How are you
this
accessing that into your system?
I told you right. I just initialized the sequence in the beginning. I'm using they have they have a configuration file which I've downloaded in the first step itself, and this is the command to basically connect your system to their server. It's a
There's
sudo.
a command for every system. Like
Yeah, it
I
basically
can do it
connects.
as well.
Yeah, you can. It basically connects your IP to the TrackMe server, so you can access everything on the TrackMe server with that. And obviously, they have provided you with a IP address. So yeah, that's it.
You're connecting to that with SSH, that
Sorry.
IP address.
Okay, okay.
With
Are you asking me about the SSH?
no, the IP address. How are you connecting to the IP address? Is it
What?
in this downloads file?
Let me show you.
They have provided that IP address right below this. Yes, this one.
Okay, this
Hmm.
now this IP address is from the TrackMe server. Okay.
Hmm.
Now, they now TrackMe as a big server, and they have provided us with a configuration file with before starting this room. Okay, and
Hmm.
you can download that configuration file from here.
Hmm.
Okay, when I download that configuration file, uh, you open my downloads. You'll get. I've renamed that as Cyberpunk 16.ovpn. You can rename it whatever you want.
Hmm.
You'll get a configuration file, and then in your terminal you need to put this command, that is sudo openvpn, and the present and the work and the directory of that particular file, which is in download cyberpunk.ovpn. Okay,
Oh.
and that basically and with the password of your sudo, which is your root user, a sequence would be initialized, and your IP would be connected to the trackbase IP. Okay,
Oh,
TrackMesh server. Okay, and
okay.
then when I started this room, they provided us with an IP address, which is a system present in the TrackMesh server.
Hmm.
Okay, so in that way, I'm connected to the server, and all the operations that I'll be doing, uh, would be within that server itself. It basically creates a tunnel.
Oh, okay. Will
Okay,
this work on WSL? I have a
sorry,
WSL system, like the app of Kali Linux on Windows.
I'm not aware of that. Sorry.
Okay.
Also, yeah, yeah, that's it. Do you want to ask anything else?
What's the
Is there anything else?
specifications of your laptop? Like, well, my VirtualBox hanged when I downloaded it.
Okay, it might be the reason, it may be because of the RAM. What is the RAM of your
8
current
GB.
laptop?
8 GB.
8 GB. Okay, now the system that I'm currently using is also 8 GB, and it's working pretty well. Maybe there might be some other problem. There might be some other issues. You
Like
might
when I
have downloaded the wrong ISO file or something.
oh, like when I open Windows, the default space that the default memories it uses is around 3.9 GB.
Okay. Okay. When you try to set up the virtual box, have you allotted a specific storage for the virtual box?
Yeah, 2 GB I think.
Uh, okay. I guess you have to allot almost half of your current the host, half of the storage of your current host. I guess something like that.
Okay.
Maybe try again. Coming back to the topic, I've SSH back into the system, and yeah, listed. Okay, I'll just go to the K directory. We have got the pass.bak UK file. Now, when I try to cat that, which is when I try to open that, it shows me permission denied. Now, you need to check the permissions. Now, you see the ls is used to list the files, and minus -la flag is used to display the permissions and as well as other informations as well. And also, it lists you the hidden directories, hidden files as well in your particular directory. Okay. Now, all the files, all the directories starting with the dot is the ones that were hidden. This is the only file that was visible to you. And if you see the permission of it, now if I try to explain you about the permission thing, the starting three uh, columns would be of the root permission, and the next three would be of users permission, and the next three would be of the others. So you can see uh, this particular file has just given the permission to the root of R means read, W means write, and X means execute. So only the root has the permission to read and write, and I'm not the root obviously because I don't know the password of this particular computer. So that is the reason I cannot access this file. So if you see, there's one more thing, something that's not very obvious is .ssh file where you keep your public key, private keys, and the permission to this is is which actually means it is basically accessible for a normal user to see and execute, and also for others to see and execute, because you have read permissions written for all the users in this for this particular file, and which is not normal actually. And let me show you why. And this is my host computer, right? And when I list this, I too have the .ssh file in my system as well. And if you see the permissions are different. My .ssh files has just given the permission for the root to access it. And if you see in the system, all the others users also has the access to it. So that's a vulnerability that I can leverage to gain access to the system and basically escalate the privileges. So let me hop into that directory .ssh. Okay. Now I've got this is the ID underscore RSA means the private key of the system, and this is the public key. Now we need public. We need to use the public key. We want the public key, so we can get that, I guess. This is the public. This is the private key of the system, which is in RSA, for which is included by RSA, and also it's in hash format, so you don't understand a thing. So all you need to do is you could do two things: either copy this and paste it in your system by creating the same file, naming id underscore RSA, or you could do is use the SCP command, which is to securely copy the files from one system to another. Okay. Uh, should do you want me to show the SCP command or something, or should I just copy paste it? Hello.
Show another method, please. Like copy paste is simple thing.
Okay. Just a second. I guess it's signed again. Just a second. I guess it's hand. The system is hand. Give me 2 minutes.
Have you bought the premium of TrackMe?
Sorry. No. I don't have the premium yet. But obviously, there are many free rooms that you could use. Actually, I've used it. I've, I've worked a lot on TrackMe, so I have the experience in it.
Oh,
But
so you
currently, I
have
don't.
used it before?
Yeah. I rank among the top 1% uh,
Yeah.
rankings in the world. There are about, I guess, 9 lakhs, I guess, 9 lakh hackers and participants in that particular website.
How did you do the payment? Like my payment isn't going through because my card isn't international or something.
Yeah, they asked for, I guess, Rupee doesn't work or something like that. I had my issues also.
How did you go through it then?
I don't remember actually. I guess I used some Mastercard or something. It was way back. I don't remember actually. I
Oh,
did it online itself, but I guess yeah, it's $10 per month, right?
yeah,
It's around $10 per month, and $7 per month if you take an annual
student
subscription.
discount. Oh, yeah, annual it's less.
Right, right. I guess the system has been hanged. Just a sec. This is the problem of the virtual box. Like
Yeah, this happened with me as well. That's why I uninstalled it
right,
and
right.
used a WSL.
Also, if you try to use the virtual box present on the tracking website, it might create some problems as well because uh, for you to run a completely different host on a web interface would create much more hindrance than actually having. one of your. Because I've tried that
You're
as
s-
well.
you're saying that I shouldn't do that. Um,
Yeah, yeah, on the attack box, right?
oh, why?
Because you have very limited access in it, and also I guess they use Paratools, right, in the attack box.
Uh,
Uh,
no, it's
Paratools is
not normal Ubuntu, I
Ubuntu,
think.
I guess. Ubuntu.
It's
Okay,
Kali.
okay, maybe hack the box uses Paratools.
Yeah, on attack box it's Kali, I think, but not many
No,
features
I
in
don't
it.
think the Puppet Kali Ubuntu. I guess. Okay. Uh, shall I restart the system?
Yeah, do it.
So sorry for the inconvenience, but I guess we'll have to wait some time.
What's your TryHackMe username?
Cyberpunk 16, I guess.
Oh,
Something like that.
Cyberpunk 16.
Yeah, something like that. This is the virtual box that I'm using, okay? Right. Okay, let me reconnect the sessions and all. I'll go back to you. Okay, we're back again now. Okay, where was I? Okay, I was about to show you the how to transfer how to SCP your the current the particular file from remote computer to yours, okay, and vice versa. Before that, this is my track me uh, account, and actually I wasn't active for the past 3 4 months, I guess, and that is why my ranking got up to 44,400. I was in the top 300, I guess, top 3,000, I guess. Uh, yeah, you can actually go through it and explore it by yourself. Its interface is very much user friendly, and
Have you done that live challenge that
no, no,
competes
the,
in the
the hill,
compete
King the Hill,
session?
right? King of the
Yeah.
Hill, right? No, no, I'm
How does
yet to
that
explore
work?
that.
I
No, no,
haven't
I'm
done
yet to
it.
explore that. Yeah. You need a team to compete in that. So first you need to form a team. Or you can do
How
it in
did you
public
find the
as well.
team?
No, I haven't explored that yet.
Oh.
Okay. Now coming back to the topic, coming back to the demonstration that is now you need to SCP, which is Secure Transfer Protocol, a file. Now you have the now syntax for this particular command as SCP, and the location from where you want that particular file from, and the location where you want on your computer. Okay, the address. So this is the remote computer, that is Jan at the rate their IP address, and with the colons you need to provide them the address where your file is, and with the space you need to provide yours where you need the file, and then they will ask you for a password, and you have your file here itself. When you see you have got your file id underscore rsa, and if you cat that, have the private key, but this private key is encrypted. It's in a hash format. So first, there's a tool called John the Ripper, as I introduced you earlier. There's a tool called John the Ripper, which you use to basically crack the hashes and get the crack the passphrases and stuffs. So I'll use John to SSH. It's a Python code. You could it is pre-installed in Kali Linux itself, so you can use lo- locate John to SSH. Just a second. Should have shown me by now. Okay.
Search it now.
Yeah, that's what I'm doing. I tried searching. I tried locating John to SSH, but it couldn't found. Somewhere around here. John to SSH. Okay. I'm sorry. It's not John to SSH, it's SSH to John. I'm so sorry. Okay, it's SSH to John because we have the file that we have is in SSH format and we need to convert that into John. So it's SSH to John, not John to SSH. Sorry. Okay. Now we have got the Python code that is SSH to John.py. Now Now you need to convert the ID underscore RSA, which is here. You need to convert that into the John format. I mean, to the SSH, to the John format, so that John could use it and crack it, and you would get a passphrase through which you could enter in, into the case profile using SSH. So for that, we'll use this, and we'll provide them with the ID underscore RSA. And this particular thing is basically what it means is you get the sudo permission, and this is the code that we are using. This is the ID underscore RSA hashed the file in the hashed format that we want to convert in the John format, and this particular symbol is telling or to store the result in a file called hash.txt. Okay. Now we have a file called hash.txt, which is basically in the John format. If you got that, this is in the John format. Now we could use John to crack the password. Hyphen word list is used, or you can use hyphen W to use the word list. And I'm in this case I'm using Rockyou. As I said before, Rockyou is one of the best word list person out there. So you could use, or it contains almost 32 million passwords and passphrases in it. And I've provided my hash.txt file to it for it to crack. And I've already got the what do you say, passphrase, which is beeswax. Now another thing that you can do now when you try to resume that. Now you can exit this because in this particular system you have Jan's Jan's access, and I guess Jan doesn't have much privileges in the system, so you need K's access. So you could just try to access through K at the rate current ID and minus I, as I said earlier, minus I is used when you have the private key, and this to have the file. So let's just use it. Now, the reason load key ID underscore bad permissions. Now this is because, sorry, you're about to say something. Did someone unmute their mic?
No, continue.
Okay. Okay. Now this particular thing, load key ID underscore ask bad permission is because now the said it is required that the private key file are not accessible at first. This private key will be ignored. The reason for this is that I haven't changed the permissions of my ID underscore RSA. Now when you list the permissions, and you see the permissions, the permission for this would be 644. Uh, there's a whole different concept. If I try to explain you about the permissions, because R is referred to as 4, W is referred to as 2, and X is referred to as 1. So when you add that, you get a number 7. So that's a completely different thing. and the code for this particular permission is 644. But that's a standard permission, that's a standard code for ID for the private key, and that is 600. So it must be 600. So with this command, which is chmod, I'm telling the permissions of the private key, which is 600, which actually means the only the root will have the access to read and write the file, and no other, which is 0 and 0. No other users or the any other guest can alter the private key. That is the reason you need that permission
Can you go
before.
through chmod again?
Chmod is basically changed is used to change the permissions of the file. Okay, you could change it to anything you want, but in this case I'll be using 600. Do you know the permissions code and stuff?
I know the
So
read, write, execute ones.
yeah, it's basically read is 4, write is it's like read is 4, write is 2, and execute is 1. Okay, now in this case, let me explain you that in brief. In this case, you have RW, which is read and write. So if you add this R and W, that is 4 and 2, that is 6. Okay, and in this case, you just have R, and in this case, you have one R, which means one R means 4 4. Okay, 4 and then 4. So it basically means that that particular file has the file permission of 644. Uh, do you get what I'm saying? Like
Yes, yes.
I can't explain it, I mean explain the entire thing right now.
Does D
But
have any value as well?
yeah. No, the D doesn't have a value. If anywhere it's mentioned D, that means it's a directory, and if it's mentioned hyphen, it's a file. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Now this is a directory, so a D is mentioned here, and this is a file, so just a hyphen is mentioned. Okay. So that's the basic thing. So I've already changed the permission for the ID underscore RSA. Now, if I try to log in again through the same command, they'll ask me for a passphrase. That particular passphrase is the one that I found earlier, that is beeswax. Yes. Is it? Yeah, beeswax. And that's it. You have the access. You have the access to the case account. Now if you put the command who am I, it simply displays the key. If you if you want to see some other details as well, you have the ID, and the other things as well. Uh, PW is used to determine the current present working directory, and these are just the basic Linux commands that you should know when you try to enumerate a Linux machine. Okay, so what next? We have the cat. We have to cat the password because K has the permissions to execute the command, and that's it. You have the contents inside it. Yeah, the file and answer. And with that, your basic pen testing tool has been completed. You have successfully escalated your privileges and hacked the entire system present on the tracking server. So this is what basically hacking means. The I mean, basically the very basic version of hacking, or you might say pen testing. But yes, this is how it actually looks like. It for some it might look complicated, but trust me, if you actually work on it, if you I suggest you go through the tracking website, and it would be much easier for you. At least start your studies in it, which is what I've experienced, which is where I've started. So even if you don't understand, don't worry about it, because the concept that I've covered today is just the base. There are many other things that can be used. So yes, that's it. You have all the answers. You need to terminate the room. for it to finish.
By the way, are you in BVCOA right now?
Right now, yeah, yeah, I'm a final year student.
Oh,
And that's it. Do you have any questions regarding the, I mean, present demonstration that we had right now? Anything such or anything regard to like where would start? I mean, where would
yeah. Do you
understand?
know any communities like that, like on Discord and stuff?
Yeah, yeah. There are many other communities. As I mentioned, if you know search, even if you search for it online, you'll get many such websites. Uh, like the one that I mentioned earlier, the City of Time. You go on this website. You try to register for now. These are the upcoming events. Okay, the upcoming competitions they have with their dates mentioned there. You just go in there, try to register yourself. There are various other teams as well, and they basically create a Discord community group where you could add yourself and communicate with them, learn through them, through their experiences, and you'll also get to learn a thing or two. So it's always better to explore and obviously there are various other sites as well. Like I just mentioned, Hack the Box, Track Me, and then Code Shooter, etc. So there are many other fields as well in cybersecurity. What I showed you today was just web enumerations and stuff. There are reverse engineering, cryptography, and then digital forensics and stuff like that. So I could you have to explore all those to get a brief, a bigger idea about what this domain actually is. Also, the basic thing that you have is YouTube. Go through it. You have access abundant of knowledge in it. Use it. There are uh, accounts like creators like the new Boston, very good. Get your networking strong, and learn many things from him. He also has a series. He also has a series of the Linux basic commands. We go through that as well. There's Hackersploit, and there are many other creators.
Do you do any live stream while doing
No,
CTF
no, no, no,
challenges?
no. As I said earlier, I'm still a learner. There's a lot to learn from me, and I'm just trying to gain, explore anything that I could. There are I'm trying to just participate in stuff. I've participated. There was a recent competition, I guess, of a Red Hat hacker something like that. Participated in that. Obviously, you won't get the what do you say? You won't get the results in your first go, but yeah, you must try. You have to because it's very vast field and it's very tough to get all these knowledge at once. But it's fun. CTF is basically gamified version. Very good. Learn, get knowledge, and that is why I introduced CTF today, so that at least get a slight interest in this field, and you could start exploring by yourself. The reason that I mentioned Track Me was
Yeah,
because that is where I started.
I've been using it for 3 months, I think.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Is there anything else, or shall I? Are we done?
Yes, thank you so much, Samir. It was a wonderful session. You all probably got to know so much about the basics of OSINT and basic pen testing. I do hope after today's session, you all might go to CTF websites and practice. If anyone encounters any sort of doubt, please feel free to ask us in person. We are always ready to help. We have an announcement about the next event, which is on 14th of December. It is all going to be about machine learning and neural networks. We are going to have Anish Gupta as the speaker of the event. The event will mainly demonstrate neural network architectures like YOLO for object detection. I hope we all see you there on 14th. The registration link for the next event are mentioned in the chat box. The feedback for today's session is also mentioned in the chat box. Do fill it. It's mandatory for the certificates. Thank you so much, everyone. See you soon.
Thank you.
Should I stop the recording, Himanshu?